Hello, I'm Popstarvin Gray, and today you'll be watching the first episode of a new Pokemon competitive TCG show. Now, I've wanted to make a show like this for a while. I don't know if my core audience of music fans will love this. Don't worry, I'm still making music, and that's my main goal for my career. However, this is something that I'm very passionate about. As you can probably see, I really love Pokemon, especially the trading card game, and all that it has to offer. I miss the idea of a show being based around that. That's why I'm making this. We used to have shows like Profit. Then with the popularity of Pokemon Trading Card Game Online, most videos just became footage of that. Less discussion-based, less in-person demonstrations, and more based on the online format. And I like those things as well. I don't think that those things are wrong, and when we eventually, unfortunately, have to go over to Pokemon Trading Card Game Live, I don't want to seem like I'm bitter about that stuff. I like that content. I would like to offer something different. So today we'll be discussing Crown Zenith, the upcoming Pokemon TCG set, and what its impact is going to be. Thank you. Crown Zenith is a majority reprint set filled with new artworks, stunning displays of what the Pokemon Company can offer. Now, we aren't new to reprint sets here in the Pokemon TCG. We've had plenty over its long and expansive history. Crown Zenith is a special exception in that, while it introduces a variety of new promos and alternate artworks, the competitive cards that it offers are very small. I would liken it to something similar to the set Call of Legends. Now, given that there are so few cards to talk about, we'll just jump straight into what's new, starting with the V-Star and one new VMAX Pokemon. We'll start with Hatterene VMAX. Hatterene VMAX offers 320 HP, Psychic typing, and does 150 damage and confuses your opponent's active Pokemon for 3 energy. Now, Hatterene VMAX, unfortunately, is not good. Its ability allows you to take 2 of your damage counters, and once per turn, move them onto your opponent's active Pokemon. While this ability does stack, we don't find that it is going to push it over the edge to make it the Psychic-type VMAX that you're going to want to use in this format. Moving on to the V-Stars. There are 5 new V-Stars that are going to be introduced in Crown Zenith, starting with the Fire-type Simisear. Simisear V-Star is a Fire-type with 260 HP. Its first attack, for 1 fire and 2 colorless, allows you to do 40 damage, plus discard up to 5 cards from the top of your deck. If you do, this attack does 40 more damage for each card you discarded in this way. Now, personally, I don't think this attack is that great, nor is Simisear V. However, it could be a very fun rogue deck, given its V-Star power. For 1 fire energy, this attack does 30 damage for each energy card in your discard pile, allowing you to blow out the end of the game with some massive 500 damage attack. Do I think it's going to be good? No. Do I think it'll be fun? And do I like the dancing artwork? Absolutely. Up next is Rotom V-Star. Rotom V-Star is a lightning type with 250 HP, so it is on the lower side. For 2 lightning energy, Scrappy Pulse does 80 base damage and allows you to put any number of tool cards from your discard pile into Lost Zone. This attack does 40 more damage for each card Lost Zoned this way. Now, in theory, this is an unlimited damage potential, and you're lightning type, so you're hitting a good weakness against Lugia V-Star and Palkia V-Star. However, after testing with it, I think it's a very, very fun rogue deck that can take a game or two. Its V-Star ability, Star Conversion, allows you to discard any number of cards from your hand and draw that many cards. Naturally, you would want to use this to fuel your attack and hit for big damage. While I think that Rotom V-Star is very fun, being able to use the single strike stadiums and single strike tools to further draw cards along with speed lightning energy. Even though I don't believe that Rotom V-Star will be taking down NAIC or winning a regionals anytime soon, this deck offers a very fun and explosive gameplay style. Next up is Regigigas V-Star. Regigigas V-Star is a colorless type with a massive 300 HP for a V-Star Pokemon. That's amazing. Its attack, Giga Impact, for 3 colorless energy, does 230 damage and doesn't allow this Pokemon to attack during the next turn. You may be able to switch out using Bird Keeper, Switch, Escape Rope, or any other effect to reset that ability. Now, its V-Star ability, Star Guardian, says that when your opponent has exactly 1 prize card left, you may discard one of their bench Pokemon and all cards attached to it. This ability is fun, interesting, but too gimmicky. I think that the tank strategy of Regigigas V-Star is fine, but if you're going to play Regigigas, I would recommend sticking to the single prize Regi's Toolbox. It's much more adaptable, cheaper, and probably going to win you more games than this guy here. With a massive 4 retreat cost, a weakness to fighting, that can be shut down with Dunsparce, I don't believe that it rises to the same level of other colorless V-Star Pokemon such as Hisuian Zoroark V-Star or, of course, Arceus V-Star. Up next is Zacian V-Star. Zacian V-Star is a metal type with 270 HP. Its attack Break Edge for 2 metal and a colorless does 200 damage, and is unaffected by weakness, resistance, or by any other effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. Having another Shred attack on a potentially competitive Pokemon, I'm not going to lie, is a bit annoying. We've already got Mew VMAX, we had Giratina, Alolan Vulpix V-Star, and now this. You wonder what the use for Miltank V even is. Now, its V-Star attack is pretty interesting. For 2 metal and 2 colorless, Sword Star does 310 damage and does 30 damage to yourself. Now, this is amazing. It's enough to one-shot a Mew VMAX, to one-shot most, if not all, V-Star Pokemon without any other added effects such as a Big Charm or a V-Guard energy. 4 energy might sound like a lot, however, with Metal Saucer, attaching from hand, or even using Zacian V's ability, the base one from Sword and Shield, to help power this thing up, it's no time flat before you're firing off 310 damage for a one-shot knockout, taking 2 to 3 prizes. Now, along with Zacian V-Star, they've introduced Zamazunta V-Star. Zamazunta V-Star is also a metal type with 270 HP. Its attack, Giga Impact, for 2 metal and a colorless, does 220 damage, with the ever-familiar caveat that this Pokemon may not attack during its next turn. Now, Zamazunta's damage is not exactly why you're playing it. It's good, it's usable, and you'll get plenty of V knockouts. What's very interesting about this Pokemon is its V-Star ability, Star Shield. This ability makes it to where during your opponent's next turn, all of your Pokemon will receive 100 less damage. Now, this is very interesting. It turns Zamazunta into a 370 HP tank. It also is not something you can boss around to reset, such as Goodra. It's very interesting. It's seen experimentation in Lost Box and various other single prize decks in Japan. It, in combination with Zacian V-Star, makes a triumphant return to the metal typing that I think has been missing for a few sets now. Now, I believe that these are the 2 best V-Star Pokemon to be introduced into Crown Zenith. If I had to give one the edge, I'm going to give it to Zamazunta V-Star, because it's far more versatile, and you don't even have to attack with it. You can simply use its ability to prevent a knockout and seal a game from your opponent. Up next, we'll be talking about the 2 new Radiant Pokemon. We'll get Charjabug out of the way first, because unfortunately, it's not that good. Radiant Charjabug's ability, Static Block, states that whenever either player places an energy card onto a Pokemon V, put 2 damage counters onto that Pokemon. Now, this ability for your Radiant slot is not great, considering you have options such as Radiant Charizard, Radiant Greninja, Radiant Gardevoir, or even Radiant Alucha. I would never choose this. Its attack is not great either. Linear attack for 1 lightning energy does 30 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Having a lackluster ability and a terrible attack makes Radiant Charjabug, at least in my opinion, the worst Radiant Pokemon that they've printed. I see no meta-relevant use for this and no rogue use for this. I would avoid using Radiant Charjabug at all costs. Up next is one of the most interesting Pokemon they've printed in all of the Sword and Shield era, Radiant Eternatus. Radiant Eternatus is a dragon type with no weakness, with 170 HP. That's pretty big for a Radiant. Its attack Power Beam does 200 damage for a Fire, Darkness, and a colorless. There is a world in which you get this attack off and it's useful, but without double dragon energy, I don't really see it. However, you're not going to use this thing for its attack, because its ability, Climactic Gate, is so interesting. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may search your deck for up to 2 VMAX Pokemon. Put them onto your bench, then shuffle your deck. If you use this ability, however, your turn ends. This is amazing. You can get 2 of any VMAX out on your first turn, put them directly onto the bench. That could be 2 Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAXs. To have an immediate draw engine and energy acceleration engine your next turn. 2 Duraludon VMAXs? No problem. Pikachu VMAX and anything else you want. It's there. Yes, it ends your turn, but we have plenty of ways of working around that. You'll obviously want to go first and get your VMAX Pokemon out that turn. Then, in the following turns, you'll want to power them up and use the variety of new, big, and beefy attackers that you have at your disposal to crush your opponent. Now, I don't know how this will pan out exactly because in Japan it's seeing very mild success. But it's fun, it's creative, and I'm sure someone much smarter than me is going to bring out the true full potential of Radiant Eternatus. Finally, we have the two, count them two, single prize Pokemon that I believe are worth talking about. I'll start first with Luxray. Luxray has 160 HP, is a lightning type Pokemon, and has a very unique ability. Its ability, Explosive Start, states that if this Pokemon is in your hand when you're setting up to play, you may play it face down as your active Pokemon. Now, this might sound very familiar to a lot of you. It's the exact same ability that Talonflame had from Steam Siege, back in 2016. Another similarity it has with Talonflame is its attack, Seeking Fangs. For 1 colorless energy, it does 50 damage, and allows you to search your deck for up to 2 trainer cards, reveal them, and put them in your hand. Then shuffle your deck. If you recall, Talonflame allows you to search 2 of any cards, so it is a downgrade in that aspect. Look, personally, I don't see a use for Luxray in the meta right now. Maybe post-rotation it could be a unique engine that you use to get set up. However, it's going to be a dead card past the first turn, and it's something that you can't even draw into, you must start with. If I'm going to play a card that's dead to me past the first turn, I'm going to play Battle VIP Pass. Luxray is interesting, but is not useful right now. Now, on to the final Pokemon we're going to be talking about in this video, Zamazunta. Zamazunta is a single prize Pokemon. It is a metal type, and it has 130 HP. However, that's a bit deceiving because of its ability. Its ability states that if this Pokemon has any energy attached, it takes 30 less damage from attacks, effectively making it 160 HP. It's pretty nice, but not really what sells the card. What sells the card is its attack. For 2 metal and a colorless, Revenge does 100 damage, plus, if any of your Pokemon were knocked out during your opponent's last turn, this attack does 120 more damage. That is incredible. It's going to be very useful in a decks like Lost Box, where you will set up with a Cramorant, your opponent will knock it out, hopefully you'll be able to bench this and Mirage Gate onto it, and all of a sudden they're being smacked for 220 damage. That, in combination with the 110 damage that they've set up with the Cramorant, it's 330 damage. Zamazunta is a single prizer, incredibly useful, and incredibly easy to slot in to Lost Box, where I, among most Japanese players, believe that this card belongs. And finally, we have the Trainers, or Trainer, I should say, as there is only one new Trainer card that is going to be introduced in the Crown Zenith expansion that I believe is worth talking about. Sky Seal Stone, similar to Earthen and Forest Seal Stone, is a Pokemon tool card that gives the Pokemon V that it is attached to the option to use a V-Star power, which it may not have access to. Sky Seal Stone states that if your opponent's active Pokemon V-Star or V-Max is KO'd by damage from your basic Pokemon V's attack, take 1 more prize card. Of course, taking an extra prize card based on an attack or an ability is nothing new in the Pokemon trading card game. In the current standard meta, Stoutland V is used in Lugia to take an extra prize card when it knocks out a basic Pokemon. And while in Lugia you would not be able to use Sky Sealstone because presumably you've already used your V-Star ability to get out your 2 Archeops to even power up Stoutland, plenty of other unique decks and strategies may be able to take use of this card. For instance, Suicune Ludicolo. Suicune Ludicolo is not a deck that has seen too much popularity recently, but has massive damage potential, and with the possibility of taking 3 prizes on a V-Star or 4 prizes on a VMAX, it may take over the slot of Forest Seal Stone in a lot of these decks. But who's the real winner here? In my opinion, it's Lost Box. Putting this on a Raikou V to take 3 prizes off of a Lugia, putting this on a Drapion V to take 4 prizes off of a Mew. This opens up so many different lines of play for the Lost Box variant of decks. While Lost Box is the optimal place to put this new V-Star item card, it's also the #1 winner of this set. Between Zamazunta and this new item, Lost Box is going to see a surge in popularity like it's never seen before. And that's it for the new cards introduced in Crown Zenith. If I had to give a rating based on these cards alone, I'd say it's a C, maybe a C+. However, due to the wide array of useful reprints and amazing artworks we're going to be receiving, I'm going to give this set an A. It's amazing to see that the Pokemon Company can care so much about us as players and as collectors in the same set. This also concludes the first episode of Quaxlys Corner. Please leave any feedback that you have on this episode or this set in the comment section down below. Feel free to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you feel so inclined. I hope that you really enjoyed this video as I enjoyed making it. You have a wonderful day. Goodbye.